Welcome to our show. All the good ones
are taken, also known as AdGoat.
I'm MK.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast. Today we are talking about some of our favorite fantasy recs.
Woo!
You know, bringing in some magic for the end of the year.
Yes. I love this genre. I know MK loves this genre. Yeah. It's just so, even like not even just like written fantasy. Like I love like The Lord of the Rings. Like I love like all of those types of movies, which it is fantasy.
No, it's a written fantasy also.
Well, yes. But I'm saying like in movie form, I like to watch fantasy.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. But so yeah.
Yeah, I really like escaping into these like other worlds that are unlike ours or sometimes like ours. But I don't know.
It's a little more magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun and unique. And if you know me at all, you know that my first recommendation is Percy Jackson.
Woo! Which I loved this series as a kid. Like I remember vividly like learning about Greek mythology in school, and then my aunt, who's actually like a middle school teacher, she does like a whole section on Percy Jackson, and like it does a whole project, and they like decorate the classroom and stuff. So I was like obsessed with it. So yeah,
that's so I read Percy Jackson before, but I did in 7th grade had the same thing. We did we read the story and learned about all of the different kind of like arcs that characters have and the like Greek mythology roles that the gods played and things like that. So very fun. I obviously love the series. I went to Rick Riordan, the author's he came out with the 6th Percy Jackson recently. It's Percy Jackson Getting into College,
which I'm gonna read, even though I haven't read the series in many years. Like I will be reading that.
Yeah,
'cause that's what we all want.
We do. It's so fun. It's just a delight. It's a comfort almost. Like, you know, it's gonna be this like crazy battle every time, but you know, like he's gonna make it out. You know, it's just fantastic. I've read all 3 of his series in the Percy Jackson verse, and then he has a couple standalones. Just overall a fantastic series. But I'm going to focus on The Lightning Thief, which is the first book in the series, and where we meet Percy for the very first time.
Ooh.
So, Percy Jackson is a good kid, but he can't seem to focus on his schoolwork or control his temper, and lately being away at boarding school is only getting worse. Percy could have sworn his pre-algebra teacher turned into a monster and tried to kill him. When Percy's mom finds out, she knows it's time that he knew the truth about where he came from, and that he go to the one place he'll be safe. She sends Percy to Camp Half-Blood, a summer camp for demigods on Long Island, where he learns that the father he never knew is Poseidon, god of the sea. Soon a mystery unfolds, and together with his friends, one a satyr and the other a demigod daughter of Athena, Percy sets out on a quest across the United States to reach the gates of the underworld, located in a recording studio in Hollywood, and prevent a catastrophic war between the gods.
Woo!
So there was a movie that they created.
It was ass. I hated it.
No one liked it.
No, it was terrible. It didn't really follow the book all that well.
No.
Although I love Logan Lerman, like don't get me wrong, this has nothing to do with him as like an actor or like his looks, but
right. None of the movie,
but the movie itself was really bad.
Well, I don't think Rick was involved in it at all,
which is unfortunate.
And now they're making a Disney Plus series, and Rick and his wife are completely, totally involved. They're every day on set, like so part of the production and like executive producers and all of that. And it's coming out December 20th. So I'm so excited. I've been re-listening to the book, and I'm having Shelby listen to it because I don't think he's ever read it.
What?
And we're having a great time.
Wow. Okay, I love that. Yeah, like if you or you know someone that has like a child that is like in that age range, like, and they're not covering it in school, like I highly recommend that they cover it, because not only is it interesting to learn about Greek mythology, but it's also like such a good coming of age story, right? Like he's facing like literal demons, right? Sometimes, but and like mythical creatures, but he's also like just a kid growing up and like, you know, navigating themes as like school and like relationships and like just what's it to be like a teenager and like things like that. It's just such, it's probably one of the most like wholesome, comfortable series I've ever read.
Yeah, so it is actually a children's series.
Yeah.
And all of his books are children's series.
Yeah.
Or books. So, you know, anyone can find enjoyment out of it. He actually originally wrote this series, at least from something I read. So sorry if this is incorrect, but I'm pretty sure. He wrote this because his son was neurodivergent, and so
I didn't know that.
he wanted to like have a main character who was dyslexic and had ADHD and like have reasons for that.
Yeah.
So, which it's all like explained in like he's dyslexic because his brain's wired to read Greek, and he's ADHD because he's supposed to be on the battlefield and like things like that. So,
which is so like genius.
Yeah.
In the writing. I love that.
And everything about it is just, yeah, it's so wholesome and great and such a comforting, happy series. Like I will never stop talking about this series.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, like if they are putting into production like a series like this, like the writer needs to absolutely be involved. Not, you know, I'm not saying they need to be like there every day on set like Rick Riordan's doing, although I love that. Like I think that's awesome. But like don't take something that like people love and cherish and like tarnish it.
Yeah. And something cool that he said, you know, this book was published in 2005, so he's excited to have the chance to be able to almost write it like he would now, like knowing the things he does. Like he doesn't have to have all of his main characters be white. He doesn't like, he can explain more about Poseidon as a father. Like there's just different like things that he didn't get to do in 2005 that now he is happy that he gets a chance to do.
I love it. I'm excited for the series.
Me too.
I'm excited to watch the series. I probably will reread the series in preparation for like the new book to come out. So
yeah, so the new book's already out.
Oh, it's out already. Okay.
That's why
right.
I went there.
Okay. That's right. I'll be reading it.
Yes, it's really good. And he is expecting to have 3 of them because he needs 3 reference letters to get into college.
Oh, that's cute.
And so each one he has to like do a quest for someone.
I love that.
All right, Alex, what's your first book of the minisode?
Okay, so I read a lot of fantasy and it was hard to decide because I want to save some things for later, perhaps.
Yeah.
So we will discuss that. But today I'm going to cover the selection by Kiera Cass, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So the selection is Goodreads Choice Awards nominee for Best Young Adult Fantasy and Science Fiction of 2012. And I'll just go ahead and read the description for y'all. So it says, for 35 girls, the selection is the chance of a lifetime. The opportunity to escape a rigid caste system, live in a palace, and compete for the heart of a gorgeous Prince Maxim. But for America Singer, being selected is a nightmare. It means turning her back on her secret love with Aspen, which I love that name, who is a caste below her, and competing for a crown she doesn't want. Then America meets Prince Maxim and realizes that the life she's always dreamed of may not compare to a future she's never imagined. So one thing about young adult, like, this is the type of book and series that I would have absolutely loved when I was like in the 8th grade, you know, like, I don't know. Did you ever read like the Matched series?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I loved that series. Like I was obsessed just like with the idea of like the dystopian and like all of that. So this is very closely like linked to that, which is why I picked it up recently. Like I think I read it maybe like a month ago, but 12-year-old me, 13-year-old me would have been like foaming at the mouth at this, because just like the thought of like young girls getting like swept away up into this castle and like an effort to like provide for their families and like compete for like the love of the prince, who is like this golden retriever man, and then but she has this like secret love at home who's like a caste below her, who she like always dreamed that she was going to get married to, but then like she ends up getting selected, and so she meets the prince and starts like falling for him, and it's like, well, do I love the prince or do I love Aspen? And then like dun dun dun, Aspen shows up at the castle and he's like working there as like a guard, and like
It's
all
giving
this stuff.
Divergent.
It is, and like it or like Hunger Games or something.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah. And it is. It really is. It's giving like PETA and what's the other guy's name?
Gale.
It's giving PETA and Gale for sure. So yeah, I would have been eating that up like Thanksgiving leftovers like in the 8th grade. So although it's not my favorite now, like I did give it 3 stars on Goodreads, I do think it's like a good fantasy series. Like if you want just like a cute, it's not like kick your feet in the air cute, like giggly, but it's like if you want like a nice, like good story that like younger you would have been like into, or like if you know someone that's like that age range that would love something like this, like I highly recommend it. I'll probably keep reading. I'll probably keep reading the series. We'll see. There's so many other things on my TBR, so
I had a really hard time picking what other fantasy I wanted to do because there's so many good ones.
There are so many good ones.
And like we could have done Hunger Games because the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes the movie comes out this month,
which we should go see, by the way.
Yes, I'm rereading, or I will be rereading it soon. So
correct.
Yeah, I always saw the girls read it. And I just was turned off that her name was America. I thought it was really weird.
It is odd. And it was a cringe moment for me. But there's a reason for it in the book. It gets explained. So, dystopian, fantasy, like love triangle-esque.
Would have loved it. Would have
ate it up. For sure. All right, MK, what you got next?
My next one is currently a duology, but it is an unfinished series, which is Ninth House and Hellbent.
That is a thick book. I did not think it was that thick, actually.
Yes, they're pretty thick. So this is by Leigh Bardugo. She's an Israeli American, and you might know her name because she is the author of the Shadow and Bone series, which recently became a Netflix.
Yo, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So this is her first adult series.
Excellent, because it's on my Libby, so I will be reading it.
It is so good. So Ninth House actually won Best Fantasy on Goodreads in 2019, and Hellbent was released earlier this year. And the third one, its release date is unknown. But Leigh's like social media says away.
Ooh.
So I'm hoping she's working on it.
Ooh. I wish I had that much like sway over
I know.
I'm away.
Like an IAM message.
Yeah, like I'll get back to you on this day. Like that's awesome. Good for her. Whatever she's doing.
So this is the description for Ninth House. Galaxy Alex Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. Raised in the Los Angeles hinterlands by a hippie mom, Alex dropped out of school early and into a world of shady drug dealer boyfriends, dead-end jobs, and much, much worse. By age 20, in fact, she is the sole survivor of a horrific, unsolved multiple homicide. Some might say she's thrown her life away. But at her hospital bed, Alex is offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most elite universities on a full ride. What's the catch, and why her? Still searching for answers to this herself, Alex arrives in New Haven, tasked by her mysterious benefactors with monitoring the activities of Yale's secret societies. These 8 windowless tombs are well known to be the haunts of the future rich and powerful, from high-ranking politicos to Wall Street and Hollywood's biggest players. But their occult activities are revealed to be more sinister and more extraordinary than any paranoid imagination might conceive. So, it's an extremely dark series. It's gruesome.
Really?
In the description, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Leigh uses a lot of description and even like almost to a detraction in the first book because like 120 pages are just like
description,
world building, and you're kind of just like, what the fuck's happening?
Like, can we like get to the story?
Well, it's confusing.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's meant to be, but it's just like there, you don't really know what's happening. A lot's going on. It's just like, what?
It's like,
and
what are we doing here?
It kind of clicks into place in page 120, and from then it's just like so good.
Okay, correct. I am so excited to read this.
There is a love interest, and they don't even touch until like the third book. That hasn't even released yet.
Oh my god. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna read it.
The slow burn is real.
No, after you just said that, I'm gonna DNF it because like I can't do that.
It's not a romance, like by any means.
Okay, see, I was thinking it was.
No.
Oh, okay. Then I will read it then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's something else, then that's good. But if it's a romance and they're not even touching by the third book, like, come on.
I don't think they're even. It's more of like the fans wanted it in the first one, and then it.
Oh, and then it didn't
kind of happened in the second one.
Okay. Have you read the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
So you like, they're never at the same place at the same time for these two books.
Okay. Like,
so in the first one, he goes missing.
Okay.
And the second one, he becomes a demon.
Right. Okay.
So
I have no context, nor do I want you to spoil it.
Yeah.
But just, that's unfortunate.
It is really sad.
Okay. I will read it still, but I'll be upset about that.
I know. It's so good. Well, and then I started shipping the two girls because I was like, someone needs to be in love.
Yeah, like someone needs to get some action up in here. There's demons around.
But it's really good. Leigh actually went to Yale, so that's cool.
That's neat.
And
an educated woman.
Yes. And here is a quote from Hellbent. It says, "Maybe they were just two killers, cursed to endure each other's company, two doomed spirits trying to find their way home. Maybe they were monsters who liked the feeling of another monster looking back at them, but enough people had abandoned them. Both. She wasn't going to be the next."
I love the monster shit. Like when they start rattling off about like the monster inside and like the monsters outside, I'm like, hell yes. Like let's rip the flesh apart.
Well, because they are both flawed. Deeply flawed.
I mean, he's like a demon. Like,
it's not his fault he's a demon. It's kind of her fault, actually.
Well, that's unfortunate. Things you'll do for love. The love that doesn't even exist in this book, apparently.
But highly, highly recommend. It does take a long time to get into the first one, so you have to be patient. But fantastic dark fantasy.
I will be reading this, no doubt. No doubt.
Read it closer to when the third one comes out because I've been screaming
like upset
since February. That's kind of how I'm feeling about your next one, too.
For our last book that we're going to talk about is something that both MK and I have read recently. And I am so obsessed with this book currently, although I finished it maybe 2 weeks ago and MK finished it
a couple days ago.
This is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. And there was so much hype about this book. Not even that I really saw on like TikTok or anything, but like Goodreads was like raving about it. In fact, it has... Yeah, okay, so it has 4.27 stars and over 100,000 ratings on Goodreads. And although it is marked as young adult, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a chance. Because, like, I don't know, I'm adult. I want to be reading the spice. Like, if it's a romance, like, I want the spice in it. Sue me. So, but I took a chance on this, and it blew my mind. It was so good. And I'll go ahead and just read the book description for you. When two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war among gods to seal their fate forever. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again, but 18-year-old Iris Winnow just wants to hold her family together. Her mother is suffering from addiction, and her brother is missing from the front lines. Her best bet is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. To combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them beneath her wardrobe door, where they vanish into the hands of Roman Kit, her cold and handsome rival at the paper. When he anonymously writes back, the two of them forge a connection that will follow Iris all the way to the front lines of battle, for her brother, the fate of mankind, and for love. Shadow and Bone meets Lore and Rebecca Ross's Divine Rivals, an epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. Yeah, what a book. And I'll go ahead and read a quote from that book as well. It takes courage to let down your armor, to welcome people to see you as you are. Sometimes I feel the same as you. I can't risk having people behold me as I truly am. But there's also a small voice in the back of my mind, a voice that tells me you will miss so much by being guarded. And I love that.
Yeah, this book was really introspective. I loved the writing component of it, and their like letters to each other were so cute, and their like lust for each other, and like
It was so good.
so like piney, like
It was so good.
very good. I will say I was prepared to give this book 5 stars all the way until the very end. And now I don't know what I'm rating it because I'm so upset with how it ended.
Yeah, it hurt. The ending hurt. I was like, what? I was like, what just happened? I gave it 5 stars regardless, but MK she like sits on her ratings a little bit, which
I think
is
I'll
valid.
I think I'll need to read the second one to know how I feel about the first
Which is coming out in November. So we will be reading that.
one. Yeah.
I already have it on my list. So, but yeah, if you're looking for a young adult that's more, honestly, I view it as kind of adult. Like
It definitely had adult themes, and like there was war, and like I mean I guess that's young adult. I don't know. It was a book just without spice, I think was what it was.
It's like high school age. It's not like middle school. It's like high school age. And yeah, there's no spice in it. I mean, they get to business, but like not into the details that adult novels might have. But it was very sweet, like how it went down. I was like, oh my God. I love an enemies to lovers. Like you can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong with like the gods and the war. Like I love a war backdrop because it's just so fraught with like tension, and then there's like death swirling around you. There's like the fantasy element. The way I viewed Roman was like completely different than the fan art. I'm not a fan of the fan art that they are covering the book with. However, I will continue to picture Roman how I picture him, and that's that.
Yeah, I actually heard about Rebecca Ross. She has a series on Book of the Month, and I bought that.
Ooh.
And I just haven't read it.
Okay.
So that's how I know of her, but it's like right behind you actually. Down.
A river enchanted.
Yeah.
I almost said an enchanted river.
But
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's like map talks to you or something. I don't know.
Okay. Fantasy.
I don't know what it is, but I'm now that I've read Divine Rivals, I'm really excited to read that series.
Yay. I'm glad you read it. I'm glad I read it. We will be anxiously awaiting the second book.
Yeah, and if you are loving our fantasy recs, stay tuned for this month's books.
November is going to be jam-packed.
We are thrilled for our next 2 books.
Like thrilled. Like Divine Rivals is like here, but like the books we're covering in November are like up here.
Like way up there.
Way up there. Like the hype for those books, how much we love those books. Yeah. Like 5 stars easily. And just the writing and the story was so good. So please stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and share with your friends as always. We love your feedback. We love when you share. We love when you tag. So don't forget to email us at goatpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok @goatpod. Facebook, all the good ones are taken. You can follow my bookstagram @peasreads. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for listening. This has been
All the Good Ones
Are Taken.